What's up, guys? This is Crypto with James talking to you today about DeFi Pulse Index. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is I think it's a sensible play in terms of DeFi, and I think it can do very, very well. I also think, given the problems we've seen with centralization, particularly centralized exchanges, I think there's going to be a much bigger play for DeFi in the next bull cycle from a proportion of the crypto community. And I add more weight to this after everything that happened with FTX, along with something that Vitalik Buterin recently put out. So before I get into that, guys, I update the spreadsheet. Now, if you are new to the channel, you will not know any of this. So these are the first 26 coins that I spoke about on the channel. They're the first 26 coins I actually owned when I made the channel, but I've been in the space for 8 years. Anyway, now, had you put in $100 into each of these coins when I released videos about them, and you were still holding all those cryptos, you never sold them, just ignored them for 2 straight years, which is, the most wrong thing you can do, you'd still be in profit for around $8 grand. And that's doing absolutely everything wrong. But if you had done the right things, which is sell them when the markets were high last year, you could have sold all those coins for a total profit of 123 grand. Huge difference between doing the right thing and the wrong thing. Now, I sold these all off. These are not the coins I own anymore. If you want to see what I own, my current portfolio, you can go see it at copymycrypto.com. On that site, I share my portfolio. I let the members know anytime I'm buying a coin. I let the members know anytime I'm selling a coin. We have beginners tutorials set up so that anyone that's new to crypto can watch and learn how to get into crypto. I do videos on a daily basis talking about the markets if that interests you, but a lot of people just want to go on and see what my holdings are and copy along. And you'll see Phantom tops the list of all those coins. That's a Udemy course I did where I said it would be the single best investment of the previous bull cycle. I said it will go up 100x. It went up 677 times. If you'd have put in 2 grand into Phantom when I released that Udemy course, you'd have been a millionaire if you'd have sold them off last year. Now, I will find another Phantom. And when I do, I'm not going to do a Udemy course. I'm not going to go blabbing around on YouTube and stuff as well. I'm simply going to go onto the site, tell the members what the coin is, why I believe it will do the massive gains, what percentage of my portfolio it will reflect. If you want to know all that information, you've got to go onto the site. But go read it, and everything on there is verifiable because it's all on the YouTube history. Links in the description. So, DeFi Pulse Index. Now, DeFi Pulse Index is currently priced at about $65. Hit a height of 600. Yeah, about 630, 640 roughly. Its current market cap is only 36 million. Only 36 million. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what DeFi Pulse Index is, it's literally a weighted index that tracks the performance of DeFi assets across the market. So it's a basket of assets. The underlying tokens that are reflected in the index, in this index fund effectively, are Uniswap, Aave, Maker, Synthetics, Loopring, Sushi, Compound, Yearn, Balancer, Ren, KNC, and Badger. Now, the reason I like this, and one of the reasons that so many people around the world use index funds in the standard traditional stock market, is that it mitigates your risk. Because if one asset within that basket collapses, it has minimal impact on the overall value of the index. That's the beauty. So the DeFi Pulse Index tracks the token's performance within the DeFi industry. Like I say, it's weighted based on the value of each token's circulating supply, and it aims to track projects in DeFi that have significant usage and show a commitment to ongoing maintenance and development. So the token for DeFi Pulse Index has a few different pieces of criteria. So 2 are that they are used to evaluate the token's characteristics. 1 dimension is used to assess the project's characteristics, and 1 is used to evaluate the protocol's characteristics. The inclusion criterion are the basis to select what tokens will be included in the index. So they do a full breakdown of all DeFi tokens, They assess them as objectively as possible, and if they rate the value of those tokens, they will then include them within the index. So obviously, at the moment, there's not tons within that index, but there's enough that risk mitigation is there. So the key things: token must be available on the Ethereum blockchain. The token must be associated with DeFi or a DApp listed on DeFi Pulse. The token must not be considered a security by the corresponding authorities, and the token must be a bearer instrument. So none of the following are included. You can't have wrap tokens, you can't have tokenized derivatives, synthetic assets, tokens that are tied to physical assets, tokens that represent claims on other tokens. So it must be, so the actual supply characteristics are really interesting. It must be possible to reasonably predict the token's supply over the next 5 years. At least 5% of the 5-year supply must be circulating, and the token's economics must not have locking, minting, or other patterns that would significantly disadvantage passive holders. So they're looking at the wider perspective as well. So it can't have Ponzi characteristics. It can't have, or it can't be a project that exists primarily for entertainment. You know, they want to focus on competitive trading and holding. Sorry, they don't want to focus on competitive trading and holding. They want to focus on building a useful protocol or product. That's the key thing. They're focused on user safety as well. There's a lot here that I like. You can see the methodology for index calculation, which is the circulating supply multiplied by the price divided by the index divisor. And the index divisor is the constant that's adjusted on each rebalance. So they've said that the divisor in 2020 was 44,679,560. That divisor will now be much, much higher, I imagine. And what I like, fundamentally, this makes sense. As an app, this makes sense. As an investment, this makes sense. The underlying tokens within the portfolio make sense to me. And look, Vitalik Buterin came out and offered his thoughts on safe centralized exchanges. And basically what he said is, look, in the wake of FTX, a centralized exchange which abused its customers' trust, he envisions ways of making exchanges increasingly trustless. So exchanges could create cryptographic proofs that show that the funds they hold on chain are enough to cover their liabilities to their user. He also said that a spectrum exists of many possibilities between the don't be evil, aspiring good guy centralized exchange and the can't be evil, but for now, inefficient and privacy leaking on-chain DEX. In aspiring to reach the appropriate balance, he relates previously used methods and some improvements. So he's talked about Merkle trees and ZK snarks. The simplest way to prove deposits is to simply publish a list of username balance pairs. However, this method is insufficient for users' privacy, which leads to the innovation of the Merkle tree. In such a tree, each end node would be a user and the deposit amount, and so on and so on. The problem I have with the Merkle tree, however, is the Merkle tree is limited to simply showing what on-chain assets they have. They're showing the overall safe funds, right? Now, with the Merkle tree protocol or the Merkle tree implementation that a lot of the DEX centralized exchanges is using right now, they don't show any liability. They do not show the liability that any of these exchanges have. And without knowing the liabilities, we don't know if the funds that they can account for are actually enough. Look, Binance could have $100 billion, right, of reserve assets. But if their liabilities are 150 billion, their reserve assets are not good enough. I'm not saying that's the case, right? I think Binance is probably the safest right now, but I don't think any of them are really safe. But the point is, without knowing the liabilities of any of these exchanges, there is a massive, massive, massive risk. Now, DeFi is going to have a wave. DeFi is inevitably going to have a wave. And why? Because people don't trust exchanges right now. And that will go. Just so we're clear, that will go. Because people have a short-term memory. People will forget that there have been exchanges or high-interest apps that have screwed people over. People will forget that because that's what happens. And again, retail investors will go back to looking at exchanges like their banks, and the funds are safe there. And they're not safe there. The funds are only safe if you're holding them. But there is going to be a large proportion of people in crypto that got burnt by centralized exchanges. So what will they look at for their next sort of venture? They'll look at DeFi, they'll look at DEXs. And as a result, we will see DeFi have a better run in the next bull cycle than it did in the previous one. So there's the hypothesis. As a result, I do actually think DeFi Pulse Index could do anywhere up to about $1,000 feasibly. Because that would actually put DeFi Pulse Index on a market cap of $500 million, 550 million, which isn't that high. It isn't that high. And we're going to have a number of DeFi cryptos out there that have market caps in the tens and 20 and $30 billion territory in the next bull cycle. And the index is a nice way of mitigating risk if any of those DeFi protocols got hacked or corrupted by bad code. That's the premise. So, and I think DeFi Pulse Index logically is probably a safer investment because it does mitigate risk by being an index. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? And if you are a returning viewer, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe to the channel, it helps the channel grow. Make no mistake about it. These videos also make you money. You don't want to miss one. And if you hit the subscribe button, you won't miss one, especially if you hit the bell notification. And guys, if you want to see the coins I own right now, go to copymycrypto.com. On that site, I share my entire portfolio. I let all the members know whenever I buy a coin. I let all the members know whenever I sell a coin. I have tutorials set up for anyone that wants to get into crypto and doesn't know where the hell to start. I also have been in this market for 8+ years. As you can see, I've got a list of coins that have been successful. That's just the previous bull cycle. That's not even the stuff before that. And Phantom tops that list massively. 677 times gain. I will find another Phantom. Make no mistake about it. I will. And when I do, I'm going to tell the members, I'm getting in on this. This is the percentage of my funds that I'm putting in. And they can copy and they can make the same gains. If you want to make the gains of 50x's, 60x's, 600x's, go read the site. And remember, everything on the site you can check because it's all on the YouTube channel. All verifiable. So go have a look, guys. And that is it from me. Take it easy, folks. Bye-bye.